The first time my gate rattled, I thought it was just the wind, until I saw Karen's Lexus plow straight through, slamming my steel gate wide open, sparks flying, smoke pouring from her hood. She just sat there with that smug little smile, like destroying my property was part of her morning yoga routine. And that's when I knew this wasn't some misunderstanding. This was war. It started at 6 in the morning, coffee in hand, when I noticed her yanking my gate open like it belonged to her. At first, I let it go, chalked it up to suburban weirdness. Maybe she was late for yoga, maybe she thought cutting through my driveway was a harmless shortcut. But by the third morning, that clang of metal had become her alarm clock, and she strutted across my property like she was queen of the cul-de-sac. The day I confronted her, she didn't even flinch. "You should fix this gate," she said, slamming it against the latch hard enough to make the hinges groan, then marching past me like I wasn't standing there barefoot with coffee dripping down my knuckles. That's when it hit me. She wasn't confused. She wasn't lost. She was entitled. Karen sat on the HOA board, which meant she had a weapon most neighbors didn't. Rules she twisted to her advantage. Vague clauses she bent until they broke. I flipped through the handbook myself that night. Sure enough, the section on shared access only covered sidewalks and public paths. Not my driveway, not my gate, but I knew logic wasn't her game. Control was. By the end of the week, I could tell time by the sound of my gate slamming at 6:03 a.m., sharp. Even my dog barked at the window like part of the alarm system. Neighbors noticed too. Mr. Reynolds would shake his head as Karen strutted past with her yoga mat, but no one said a word. Everyone knew the unspoken rule: Karen did what Karen wanted, and the rest of us learned to live with it. Until the Saturday morning, when she shoved my gate so hard it dented the bumper of my truck. That screech of metal felt like it ripped straight through my chest. I snapped at her finally. I snapped. And she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You shouldn't park so close to the gate. That's just poor planning." Like I was the problem. That was the moment I knew this wasn't about access. This was about dominance. I wanted to storm into an HOA meeting, slam down photos, shout until people finally listened. But that was Karen's battlefield. She thrived on turning her shrieking into official complaints, on twisting arguments until she played the victim. So I took a different path. Quiet. Patient. The kind of game she didn't even know she was playing. That night I reinforced the gate with a spring latch. Nothing dangerous, just enough resistance to make her stumble. And the next morning, right on cue, she came striding up, yanked once, twice, then harder. The gate wouldn't budge. She threw her weight into it, and the latch snapped open so fast she nearly fell forward, cheeks flushing red. For once, she looked embarrassed. I sipped my coffee behind the glass and thought, finally, a crack in her armor. But cracks don't stop people like Karen. They just make them angrier. A week later, a letter showed up under my door on HOA letterhead accusing me of obstructing community access. No signature, but I didn't need one. The passive-aggressive tone was pure Karen. I complied. I removed the spring. On the surface, I looked like I'd surrendered. In reality, I'd hidden a tiny camera above the gate. From then on, every clang, every trespass, every dent went straight to my cloud. And then she escalated. I woke one Thursday morning, not to the sound of my gate, but to the roar of an engine. Her Lexus barreled straight through the gate, swung it wide like a battering ram, and drove down my driveway like it was her personal shortcut to the park. I ran outside, shouting, "Are you insane? This isn't a road." She rolled her window down. Slowly, sunglasses perched on her nose, and said, "It's easier this way. You should be thanking me." Then she revved the engine and left tire marks scarred across my concrete. That night I sat at my desk replaying the footage over and over, feeling my chest tighten with frustration. And for the first time I wondered if I was the crazy one. If maybe I should just sell the house, move somewhere without an HOA queen tormenting the street. I felt stupid, powerless, sipping cold coffee while she rewrote reality. But then I stared at the dent on my truck, the black skid marks across my driveway, and I realized giving up meant handing her everything. And that was something I couldn't do. So I set a trap. 2 steel bollards painted dull gray to blend with the driveway strong enough to stop 2 tons of Lexus entitlement. I planted them just inside the gate, and the next morning, perfect timing, her car slammed into them with a crunch that shook the neighborhood. Steam hissed from her radiator, the hood crumpled like paper. I stepped outside, calm as ever, coffee in hand. Karen stumbled out, face pale. "You'll pay for this," she hissed. I nodded toward the hidden camera above the gate. Funny, I was about to say the same thing. That was the first real victory. And suddenly, neighbors started approaching me. Whispers about their own run-ins with Karen. Lawn disputes, parking fines, HOA citations for kids' bikes. She had built a kingdom of resentment, and I wasn't the only one tired of bowing. But Karen wasn't finished. She never was. Soon, she rallied. The HOA board waved papers accusing me of hazardous obstructions, demanded I take down the bollards or face daily fines. I didn't argue. Instead, I made copies of my footage and mailed them straight to her insurance company. 2 weeks later, her Lexus was repossessed. Neighbors whispered, laughed behind curtains. For once, the queen looked like she'd been dethroned. Except she retaliated the only way she knew: dirty. My trash cans, overturned mailbox, bent letters accusing me of harassment stuffed into my door. But I kept documenting file by file. When she tore out my bollards at night, I replaced them with retractable ones locked in concrete. The morning she tried to ram through again, I raised them like teeth inches from her bumper, and the look on her face was priceless. That was when I knew she'd overplayed her hand. I went door to door, quietly, calmly showing neighbors the footage. Enough signatures to call for a recall vote. At the community meeting, Karen strutted in with her blazer and fake smile, gave a speech about unity and safety. When it was my turn, I didn't make a speech. I plugged in a USB stick. The room filled with the sound of her smashing my gate, driving through my property, crowbar in hand, at 2 a.m. Gasps filled the air. By the end of it, the board voted her out. Just like that, her crown slipped. But her final act came in court. She sued me, claimed I'd harassed her, defamed her, caused emotional distress. She arrived in a tailored suit, tears timed perfectly, lawyer spinning a story about a vindictive neighbor. And then my attorney pressed play. The gate slamming, the Lexus crashing, the crowbar, the salt trail across my lawn. Every photo, every timestamp. The courtroom went silent except for the audio of her crimes. When it ended, the judge leaned forward and said, "This isn't harassment. This is defense." The case was dismissed, and she was ordered to pay my legal fees. Karen stormed out, face pale, climbed into a rental car and sped away. Weeks later, a for sale sign appeared in her yard. She packed up, vanished, left behind nothing but dents, broken fences, and a neighborhood finally free. And me, I still drink my coffee at 6:03 every morning, but now the only sound is birdsong. My gate stands strong. My driveway is mine again. Because entitlement always thinks it's unstoppable until it hits the wall of reality.